Welcome to the Kingdom Podcast, featuring Commissioner Christine King, where all voices are heard.
Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Podcast, where all voices are heard. I am Christine King, Chairwoman of the City of Miami Commission and Commissioner for District 5, the most vibrant district in the City of Miami. My guest today is our County Commissioner, Hardemon, who I share a district with, and I'm honored to call him my friend. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
I don't know what we're going to talk about today because we talk to each other all the time.
Right.
And we have shared community service for many, many years now, before I became Commissioner King, and I was Christine, and you used to pick on me.
And before I was elected.
It's true.
You deserve to be picked on from time to time.
I think one of the things that our constituents don't know about us is that we have an amazing sense of humor.
Yes.
And we're always cracking on each other.
I think that's the only way you get through things many times, through laughter.
That is true. That is true. So, what would you like to talk about today?
Well, before the video started, you asked me had I ever seen your podcast.
That is true. And you said you haven't. What
No,
the
I have
freak?
not.
I don't even understand that.
I don't know, what do we view podcasts?
Well, this is a unique podcast
Okay.
because you can listen to it, but you can also view it on the City of Miami's YouTube channel. And it's filmed here in the historic Lyric Theater over town, which is both of our districts.
That is correct.
So stop trying to be you and
No, but
nickel and dime
listen,
me about everything
this is a huge production. I mean, we have a few cameras here. I mean, this is more production than I see the City of Miami mayor, right? And his pastelitas or cotelitos or...
You better stop it. He's going to walk in any second.
No, I just know that he has a production, but this is high quality stuff here.
Well, because I'm high quality.
I believe that.
Okay. And it's not that I'm high quality, but my constituents are high quality, and they deserve the best. Which brings me to our last event that we shared together, Reclaim the Dream, honoring Dr. King for his work. And it was such an amazing, amazing event. Have you gotten over that yet?
Yeah, Reclaim the Dream is probably one of my favorite events to do each year. And what's impressive about it is that it's been going on for so long, actually prior to me even taking office. So when you look at certain commissioners from way back in the past, certain mayors from way back in the past, like Alex Pinellas and Arthur Teal, and all of these sort of commissioners all participated in Reclaim the Dream. And so I look at today's Reclaim the Dream, and I see the future of the Reclaim the Dream as it used to be, which was participation through the City of Miami and also Miami-Dade County, and really becoming the hallmark of celebratory events of all things that have to do with Dr. King, besides the parade.
Yes, it was an amazing event. But we have another event coming up that we partner with, the 4th of July celebration at Charles Hadley Park.
The 4th of July celebration is a great time. So if you've never been, you should come. Each year I take this historic picture because my family grew during that time. And so I was single at one point, then I was married, and I have a picture from the back with my wife and I. And then when I had my first daughter, Kai, it was 3 of us. And now there's 4 of us, and we haven't had the chance to take that 4-person photo. So that's something I do every year to kind of chart the time. But it's a great family day. There's almost a 15-minute fireworks show, which I think is the best.
More than 15 minutes. I made sure. I wanted us to have the longest firework display in the City of Miami. So we did extra last year to have it the biggest, longest fireworks.
I think it was longer before, but now it should be even better than from what you're telling me, because people would travel out to Bayside, they would see the fireworks show that's there, and they would think that's the best that we had to offer. But little did they know, there was this place called Charles Hadley Park where the residents will come out and they have free food and music and drinks and dance and performances. It's just a great family event. And then as the nighttime falls, there's this long fireworks show. There's no need for anyone to ever go out and buy fireworks and put your health or your safety at risk. You could just come to this show and watch a dynamic fireworks show, all at the expense of the city of Miami and Miami-Dade County. Yeah.
It is such a wonderful event. I wanted our fireworks display to rival the one in Disney World, because I'm a firm believer that we have to spoil our seniors, we have to spoil our youth, we have to give them the best.
I agree. I think we have to spoil our community,
yes,
the neighborhood. It should look the best that it can. And I think that if you continue to pour resources into these neighborhoods, to give them the best landscaping that you could possibly give, to give them just the best experience necessary to make their neighborhood feel like a neighborhood that they want to live in. I think if you do that, more people want to stay in our district, more people will continue to come to our district, and our district will be something that people want to invest in. So we have more businesses, right? We have more spaces that are calming, more spaces that feel like this is the space that I want to raise my children in.
And that's what we have now. There's so much pride. This year we also partnered. I know the first thing that I wanted to do when I got in office was to make sure that MLK Boulevard was lit up for the holidays.
Right.
And when I still get compliments and thank yous for the boulevard being lit up for the holidays, and I don't know if I've ever said thank you, because you have really set the bar high for me to come in and serve. Because I worked with you while you were the City of Miami Commissioner, and we did a lot of great things together while I was the President CEO of MLK EDC. The Wheels to Work program, for example, changed people's lives. That program is transformative. They are going to continue that program.
Wonderful.
Through my support now, my sponsorship. And when you were in office, you beautified the boulevard. You were the first to have it landscaped, and I'm really just coming behind you and putting the cherry on top, like with the lights and the banners. And
yeah, I think what you've done to the boulevard is beautiful. It's wonderful. And really, it takes that sort of combination of work in order to have the best product possible. Because it's difficult to explain to people what you want things to be, and for them to take you seriously in your request and deliver the product that you need in the amount of time that you're serving in that seat. And so
that's true.
What I saw was that they made the improvements, but they weren't to the caliber that I would have liked. And then when you were elected, you came in and you increased really the level of almost like of care that the city put on that boulevard. And so when you install new trees and new plants, and it really gave it a new fresh breath of air. And so I appreciate that. And then you installed the banners on 62nd Street, and then I installed the banners on 62nd Street. So now we have banners that go from, they actually go very far. East and west,
yes,
into Miami-Dade County. And people know now you're on MLK Boulevard. And when you were the president and CEO of MLK EDC, you used to say that you wanted MLK Boulevard to be the most beautiful boulevard that bears his name in the United States of America. And so that's our goal. So we have a lot of work to do. MLK Boulevard has so much potential. It is one of our largest thoroughfares for commercial business establishments. And it has so much potential in not only the commercial spaces, but affordable housing, right? Mixed-use development, walkable areas. So we have, from the city of Miami through Miami-Dade County, we have a linear park that has been in disrepair for many, many years. And so right now, currently, we're finding a way to refurbish that linear park, to make it a space that feels welcoming to people. So you can see people utilize the space. It's vibrant in color. It has a lighting that feels special, right? So that they realize that, this isn't a mistake. They haven't forgot about this space.
Right.
We want this space to be beautiful. And they realize that you have one of the largest and longest linear parks in Dade County, right? So I think that, through the combination of both of our work, that people will start to see the beauty in our spaces and why people choose to continue to vote for us because we care about the space that we live in, right?
Right.
And,
And so much pride in our community now.
yes,
And it starts with us.
it starts with us.
It starts with us
It
because
starts with us.
I can't pass a trash pile without writing it down and calling it in. Hey, and I have a fantastic relationship with our solid waste director, and he's on it. And they are cleaning up our areas. We're going after people that are illegal dumping, because it's not our
No.
residents that are doing all of this dumping. People are coming into our community.
But sometimes, like, you know, I live on the ground, and I used to have a illegal dumping pile next to, on the backside of my home, and I would have conversations with individuals who lived, at that time it was a rooming house just around the corner from me, and the guy told me, he said, well, but that's the junk pile, and I said, no, the junk pile is wherever you put it. And so in the city of Miami, you're blessed with people having bulk pickup every week.
Right.
And so wherever you put the trash on the swell, someone's going to pick it up. But don't put it on my swell. Put it on your swell, right? And because we would have toilets and mattresses, and all these things were being accumulated by a lot of times the people who were just around in the neighborhood. And so in that circumstance, it was my neighbor, right? And he fortunately listened to me, and I was able to beautify that swell. Through the city of Miami, we put a bunch of trees in our neighborhoods, and we planted like 4 trees on that swell, and more trees in the median. And now people don't dump there at all, right?
And
The most that we have
yes.
is someone with a Ritz can or a beer can, they throw it in the swell. And when I'm doing my gardening or cutting the yard, I pick it up. But other than that, I think you've really seen a turn in how people treat the neighborhood, because I think they expect more.
Right. And that's another thing, because I have the city budget for trees. We
Right.
need more tree canopy
Yes.
in Liberty City, in Little Haiti. And my answer to these dumping spots was not a sign that said no dumping.
Yeah, they dump around the sign.
And take a picture.
And take a picture. yeah.
Right. So my answer to that was plant a tree.
Yes.
Plant a tree.
A
because-
nice tree.
A nice
A
tree.
mature tree, not a tree that someone's going to, they can snap in half.
Right.
I think that's part of it. I mean, those are missed opportunities. And in the county, for instance, we proposed the same sort of thing. Someone was proposing putting the illegal dumping signs, and I'm against it. Why?
Right.
Because people know that it's illegal to do it.
Exactly.
They understand that they shouldn't be doing it, especially for those that are coming into the neighborhood with construction material, dumping things. I mean, I remember having my phone pictures of an incident where the man ended up being arrested because he was a commercial hauler, and he dumped, it seemed to be 15 yards worth of trash.
Wow.
15 yards worth of trash. And when we stopped him, he said, well, the owner knows that I'm doing this. What owner? Where did you get this trash from? Oh, I got it from somewhere else, and I'm bringing it here. No,
Right.
no.
Right.
That's
Why do
not
you
the-
think it's okay
Yeah.
to come into our community, drop your trash, and leave?
No, it's not acceptable. And the wonderful thing about the east side of the district is that they recognize that. You can't put in a window without them knowing that a permit was pulled for it. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I think that's something that the west side of our district has to adopt. We have to be accountable for the actions of the people in our district, because they affect us, right? They affect us in more than one way. And so when people do things in our community that you don't find to be acceptable, first, you have to say something about it. And if it's just as simple as calling your city commissioner
That's true.
or your county commissioner, do that.
That is
Because
true.
that's the start of it. Many times we suffer for no reason, right? The lights may be out in the community. If you call us, we can reach out to FPNL, or you can call FPNL yourself and say, hey, I want to report these lights. It's very simple. I mean, you can do it online, fpnl.com, and report an outage. You don't have to be in the dark for months.
Right. I think with my district offices, we are getting more community participation, because the offices are in the neighborhood and they just walk in, say, hey, I have this problem, or nice to meet you even. And with Constituent Tuesday, they come and see me and they share their concerns, what they'd like to see happen, not happen. So I believe that with the district offices now, that we are getting that community participation that you're speaking about. The east side, the west side, Overtown,
Right.
is we're really busy.
And that's the thing about it. I think that people have to get into the habit of not just saying, these are the things that bother me. You have to get into the habit of saying, these are the things that I would like for my community.
Right.
These are the
Right.
things that I think will make a big enhancement on our area. You know, we do a lot of studies, and we look at where stop signs should be. Of course, when I was there, we lowered the speed limit. But at the time, I remember saying, you know, we need actual impediments to lowering speed, not just a change of sign.
Right.
And so-
Traffic calming measures.
Yeah, so for instance, I have videotape of many accidents on particular corners. And so you start to realize that it's people's actions, because they're the ones that are disregarding the stop signs. And so we have to add things that make it a little bit more difficult for them to break the law, right? That put our community really in harm's way. My neighbor from across the street just a few days ago had a car crash through his cement wall. The wall's probably been there, at least 30, 40 years.
Oh my gosh.
Right. And so, and there you have it, right? And this is a neighborhood where you shouldn't have been traveling that rate of speed, because the speed limit is 25 miles an hour, right? But it happens. And so what I like to do, which is something I couldn't do in the past, is work with your office so that we can have some of these traffic calming measures put into place,
Right.
that we can make the neighborhood feel more like a neighborhood, because we know and we trust with each other.
Right.
I didn't have that relationship before with our past commissioner, and I couldn't advance many of the things that I want to do. But, you know, these sort of things make change in neighborhoods, and sometimes people get afraid of change, right? So
That's
when they
true.
see a table come, because I think that between avenues, every residential neighborhood should have speed tables. Every residential neighborhood, people should be traveling at a slower rate of speed when you're not on the main thoroughfare.
If for no other reason, then you don't have a defense if you hit someone in a neighborhood. God forbid, a child is playing in their yard, the ball rolls out into the street and they dash out into the street.
Right.
You can't stop
No,
because
you
you're
absolutely
speeding. And if you hit that child, you are going to jail.
Right.
Because you know you're in a neighborhood. What's the test? You knew or should have
should know.
known
Yeah.
that if you were speeding, you may hit someone. So you don't really have a defense.
And those of us who live in our neighborhoods, we see it. We see it every day. We see people cutting through our communities, speeding through our communities, causing accidents, and it is of grave concern to everyone. And so I think that if we work together, and in each neighborhood, and we could start it in our district if they don't believe you in
Well,
other
we have
districts,
started though.
and say, we want speed tables on every street. If you go from 10th Avenue to 11th Avenue, speed tables, right? So that way, everyone is forced to drive at a slower speed. If you want to go at a higher rate of speed, then go to a main street, a main
Right.
thoroughfare, right? I think
And be
that-
careful even then.
Right, right. And,
We're too fast. People need to slow down.
and also, I think like in our neighborhoods, in certain, for instance, like in the Hadley Park area, right? Hadley Park, you have very active homeowners in that area.
You do.
And you can travel just west of 95 and probably go all the way to 42nd Avenue with just driving through the residential neighborhoods. I don't think you should be able to do that. I think neighborhoods should be broken up to feel like neighborhoods. You know, when you think about people who live close to Biscayne Boulevard, just east of it, and they have the impediments to the street, so you can't just cut through the neighborhood.
Right.
That created a sense of safety and a sense of community and a really a sense of calming in those neighborhoods.
That's true.
We need that in Hadley
That's
Park.
true. That's true. And we talked about that before, so we're going to be looking into that. I know we've done a couple of traffic calming studies in different neighborhoods,
Right.
and there are going to be some traffic calming measures put in place to do just that, because you have cars racing through the neighborhoods, and it's disruptive.
It's very disruptive.
It's so disruptive, and you don't have it in other affluent neighborhoods.
I like how you pronounce the "ah" in that. No, and I think that in newer communities as well, they aren't designed where you're driving through those residential areas.
right.
So when you think about places like, for instance, in Broward County, where you have more newer neighborhoods and the Miramars or the Westons.
Right.
Most of them have huge residential enclaves, and then the commercial is somewhere else. They're just now starting to get some mixed use sort of development where you have commercial at the bottom and residential at the top.
Right.
But those are still deep within a planned community. And so Miami is not like that. Miami is very much, the residences are just abutting the commercial thoroughfares. And so when you have that, people they know this is the way to cut through to beat the traffic.
Right.
And so that creates all sorts of problems for us if you don't
The
have a
traffic
guard
is
gate.
miserable, though.
I understand.
And everybody wants to get to where they're going quickly without the headache of this traffic is miserable.
However, I think that you can't sacrifice the safety of the neighborhoods for that. And so I think
agree.
that's part of the way that we can be able to make even the Hadley Park area, the Liberty Cities, the Little Hades feel more like a neighborhood, more calm, more relaxed, more walkable, more friendly to that. And I think that it'll also have an incidence where it'll create a reduction in crime. Because
That's
now
true.
it's not so easy to get in and out. It's not so easy to move from one space to the next to avoid the police, right? And now when you're in a certain neighborhood, you begin to recognize, well, who's supposed to be there and who's not,
Right.
right? Because,
Right.
you don't just have random cars driving in at all times. And so I think that there's much to think about when it comes to that as of course, traffic reduction, speed reduction, violence reduction. And I think it also have a positive effect on home values because people will start to see the neighborhoods a little different. Like they'll start to see them as these little special areas that are separate and apart from other areas. And I think that exclusivity is what people look for when they look for, as they like to call them, gated communities.
Right. And we deserve that in our community. Another thing that I've done, carried the torch, is fund our summer youth employment program.
The YEP program, yes.
The YEP program. And I increased the budget so that we could hire even more of our youth. And that was one of the initiatives that you started, correct?
That's correct. And just to note, I mean, and I know you're aware of this, but it's not just a summer program, right? So it's an all-around-the-year sort of program. Before you came in, the previous commission, before you cut the budget just a little bit, but I'm glad to hear that you increased it because it makes a difference.
It does.
And what it does is it gives, first of all, children an opportunity to get paid to work or to volunteer in our neighborhoods. And when you're dealing with poverty in a community, one of the best ways to increase the wealth in a neighborhood or in a household is by giving the youth an opportunity to make money. And so
And it also gives them an opportunity to be mentored.
yes,
Because we look forward to having youth in our office. And I take them with me to meetings and let them sit in on it to see what this process is and to give them a different outlook.
right.
And we engage them. Last year we got our youth stuff for school to send them back to school. I gave them all my cell phone. If you ever need anything, call me, reach out to the staff. And they were our little people, we love them up. And without that opportunity, and sadly, some of that helps support the family.
Absolutely, it does. I've had interns that have graduated from college. I've had some that have come to work for my office. So, we've had all types of experiences with our community
Right.
and the youth in our neighborhoods. I think the program is so successful that I tried to mirror it in Miami-Dade County. So we know that in the city of Miami, it was the District 5 initiative for there to be an anti-poverty program.
Right.
And in the county, we basically replicated it, doing the same thing through my initiative called the Peace and Prosperity Plan.
Right.
So I didn't want to call it the same thing because,
Right.
it's the county now, right? But,
Right.
But overall, what it did was through the Peace and Prosperity Plan, it gave us an opportunity to create a funding source that pays for really the saving of our next generation. So they have now an opportunity to work and get paid much the same way as in the youth employment program from county line road, county line to county line. And so I think it's an amazing program
That
because
is.
now everyone gets a chance to
Right,
participate in
right.
it. You know, the city of Miami has been, and I think will continue to be, an awesome space for bringing about new ideas to challenge the norm of what's happening in neighborhoods around the country. And I think that the city of Miami stands as a beacon of light when it comes to really and truly trying to empower people who are facing things like poverty. Like, we don't just talk about it,
We do it.
we do it.
We do it.
Right.
And that's the promise that we campaigned on, that we are going to work together to improve our community.
Right.
We have absolutely lived up to that.
And what's wonderful about it is that, I mean, this is a body that is largely Republican, right? And still, partisan politics doesn't come into the fray
No.
because we understand that people are suffering in these neighborhoods, and it doesn't matter if they're red or blue, right?
Right.
They deserve the best representation possible, and
That
I
is
think
true.
that that's one of the best things that I've loved about being in the city of Miami, and that I'm hoping will continue to come true in Miami-Dade County. In Miami-Dade County, we have some of the same issues. This is a much larger area that we're
Larger.
covering, but at the end of the day, people are looking for opportunities for our communities to do better. People want their property values to increase. They want to be able to send their kids to college. They want them to come home safely from school, right? They want to be able to have a decent job. They want reliable transportation. They want to be able to get out of their car, many of them, and take public transportation that is safe, that is clean, that is dependable, and that's respectable. And I think that we have a mission to deliver that. And with the new individuals that we have on our district, on our county dais, I think that we'll get it done. I mean, you look at people like the chairman, Oliver Gilbert. I mean, he's smart, he's talented.
He's so smart.
Right.
Hey, Oliver.
I'm questioning how he dresses, but that's neither here nor there. But,
You know, when we see each other, we say the chairs, because he's the chair and I'm the chair for the
Right.
city of Miami, and it's nice that we share a relationship where we all get along.
Yes.
I get along with my colleagues on the dais.
Yes.
We haven't had this strife that people have come to know the city of Miami for. And I know my colleagues care about their communities.
Yes, they do.
And we've been working together really well since I've become the chair. And it's the same with the county.
Yes.
And I stretch across over to the county. I reach out to you. I reach out to the chair and other commissioners. And I think we are in unprecedented times where the elected officials actually get along
Yes.
and want to work together. Our mayors get along.
And they want to work together.
And they want to work
I think
together.
you're right about that. And you have to have a vision for your neighborhoods. You have to have a vision for your communities. And what I appreciate about people like Oliver, and he's to the north, is that he has a vision for his community. He's already delivered largely on his vision when he was mayor in the city of Miami Gardens. Keone McGee down south, he has a vision for his space. They have great desires for where they want their community to go in the future. That's what I have for my district here in the central area, which fortunately I get a chance to share with you. And we've largely have been working on and delivering on that vision, so much so that people do things that you would have never thought 5 years ago.
Right.
I mean, 5 years ago, you would never have had so many people night in and night out come to a place called Overtown
That is true.
to spend money, to
That is
enjoy other people.
And it's just getting better.
It gets better
It's
week
just
in
getting
and
better.
week out.
That's
And
right.
so you have great celebrities that are back in Overtown. But in the past, we would say Overtown was the place to be. Overtown was the Harlem of the South. They had all the great artists that would come there. But we don't have to say it used to be anymore.
Because it's happening now.
Right now.
It's happening now.
Right now, you can randomly have Chris Brown in Overtown.
New edition.
In Overtown.
In Overtown.
Right? They're there. Not only they sing, they perform, they get on the microphone. I mean, they are a part of
I met Offset
people.
Overtown.
Cardi B, Overtown, right? I mean, the list goes on and on. Jermaine Dupri. You have people like Jamie Foxx, Overtown. Puff Daddy,
Travis Scott.
Overtown. Travis Scott, Overtown.
That's right.
Right? And so, and we're talking not in some fancy building, right outside. right outside.
At the Urban.
At the Urban.
At the
You know,
Urban.
so shout out to Keon Williams and shout out to Hell on the Market Group through Michael Gardner, who made that kind of stuff happen. And so, you know, I think that the future of District 5 in the city of Miami, District 3 in Miami-Dade County is bright. I mean, our neighborhoods,
absolutely.
our
I
neighborhoods
tell-
are the most dynamic
I tell
anywhere.
everyone that.
Wynwood,
That's
right?
right.
The
Little
Design
Haiti,
District,
the
Little
Design
Haiti,
District,
Overtown,
the Upper East Side.
Right. I mean, some of the best neighborhoods to live in, and El
Some of the
Portel
nicest
and Miami
restaurants.
Shores, and of course. I mean, people are not moving into other spaces for, I'm sorry, but I have to say it, for Applebee's. No.
Yeah.
They're coming for Red Rooster, Cote, right? They're coming for some of your favorite in the Design District, right? For places like Swan.
Swan.
Like, that's why they're coming to
Yes.
these spaces.
Swan is one of my
And
favorites.
we live.
MC Kitchen.
We live MC Kitchen. Great food, great restaurant.
Best French fries ever.
Right. And so, and this is right in the neighborhood. People can walk to and from these places.
Yes.
You can bike there if you choose to. I mean, these things did not exist 15 years ago.
That's true.
And so I tell this to people all the time. In District 5, in District 3, no one should have to move out of their neighborhood to live in a better neighborhood.
No.
And that's our mission, to
And we
deliver
have
you a better
the
neighborhood.
most beautiful art.
Yes,
We have the most beautiful people, and it's the most diverse district.
yes.
It is the most diverse district. Well, I have a segment of my podcast called the Spitfire.
All right, I guess I'll leave now.
No, where I ask 5 questions, and you have to answer not with a lot of thought. Okay? Ready?
No.
Yes. What's the most dangerous thing you do?
Every day?
Not, it doesn't have to be every day, but what's the most dangerous thing you do?
I would say meet with dangerous people. Every day.
In your capacity as an attorney?
Probably so.
Okay. Do you have a theme song?
Trouble Man.
Trouble Man?
Yes.
Okay. What's your favorite book?
Yellow Tulips and Red Buses.
I know why that's your favorite book. So let me give a shout out to the author of that book, who happens to be your better half.
Yes. The best part of my day. Yes.
That is beautiful.
Adia
Say the name
Kamaria.
again.
It's Yellow Tulips and Red Buses by
Okay.
Adia Kamaria.
If you could have dinner with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
My wife.
Oh, you're going to get some brownie points for that. Now, if you could give your 20-year-old self advice, if you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self something, what would it be?
That you can do it. When I was 20 years old, I think that my family told me that the most important thing was an education. And they were right in many ways, because I think my education helped form and put me in a position to where I am today. And at the time, not knowing anyone who had ever had a master's degree or a law degree, you have a lot of self-doubt. And so I think when you're going through school, you're basically building this muscle. And the muscle is discipline. It's really largely built on discipline.
It is.
And the better you do, every time you do better, you start to build a core competence of confidence. And I think I started to develop that confidence that I could do this. And what I wish I would know then is that I didn't have to build that core confidence. I can do it anyway, just because I was who I was and I had gone through what I had gone through and accomplished what I had accomplished. At 20, I can do it. I think, and at that time I would have began to focus on other things, like what makes the world turn? What are the biggest influences in our neighborhoods? How is it that we can do things to make, significant change? I spent a lot of time finding out who I was, which I think everyone should do. It's good.
Right.
But I largely did it alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if I would have had someone guide me early on in that, I think, even though some people say I'm young at what I do right now, but I think I would have probably gotten to many things much younger.
Well, that was great. Are you going to watch the podcast now?
No. I don't look good on television, so I have this double chin thing I'm working on. You all can see it, right? So, maybe if I lose a few pounds,
Well,
I'll
you
maybe watch it.
can listen to it. You don't have to watch it. You
Okay.
can also listen to it. You can find it on all of the platforms, Apple, Spotify, etc., etc. But all of the popular platforms for podcasts, you will find this podcast.
Well, I must say, it's a pleasure to be here. I'm glad to work with you. People don't understand how incredibly tense it is to be a commissioner.
Right.
In spaces that are fast-moving, dynamic, and exciting. And so there's so much pressure, I think, that goes on the individual that, many times you get kind of pushed into the corner. It's quite lonely.
Right.
And there's so many things that are going on, right? When you read the newspaper across the nation, especially in the state, you've seen things that are happening that when you realize what's really going on, you're like, how do we get
Right.
here?
I think for me, reading the newspaper is like reading a horror story.
Yeah.
There's so much terror going on with the gun violence, and you read almost every week about a shooting, mass shooting. The newspaper is like a horror novel,
Yeah.
poorly written.
Yes, especially from time to time. And what I've seen as well in public servants is that sometimes many people are doing it for what it could bring them, and not many people are doing it for what they can help
Right,
provide for
right.
people. And
I say that all the time.
what I appreciate about you is that you get it, that this is about people,
Mm-hmm.
that this is about making the neighborhoods better, giving people a better experience with their family in the space that they chose to invest in.
Right.
And I think that because of that, and because we work together doing that, you're going to see a lot of positive things happen in our community faster than they would in any other place. And so
And I'm so impatient. I'm so impatient. I'm like, why can't we do this now?
it's hard.
Why is it taking so long?
It's hard. I have things in my mind right now that I've been focused on for so many months that, if I had all the time in the world, I would do it myself.
Right.
But you can't.
You can't.
You can't. And so I'm excited to work with you through this process of making our neighborhoods better. And those of us who live in the city of Miami, who live in District 5, who live in District 3 in the county, you see it. You see the differences that we've made.
Right.
And what I hope for is just more time to continue to make a difference, right? We will no longer have commissioners that serve in these seats for 20 plus years. That's over. And so
I voted for that.
and so for those of us who have significantly less time,
You have to be about the business.
And you have to
And
get
I
it
say
done
that
now.
all the time because there are some of us who are in it for the service,
Right.
and there are some of us who are in it for the status.
Right.
And you have to be in it for the service. And with the term limits, you have to get in, make a difference immediately.
Right.
I think it makes us accountable
And the thing about it,
because you don't have 20 years
no, you don't have 20 years. And
or 20 plus years.
what's interesting about it is that it's largely the difference that you make. I think it has to do certainly with your ideas and your vision for your community, but it has more to do with the people that are actually going to make it happen. And that's the City of Miami staff.
Right.
That's the
And they're
employees.
amazing.
That's Miami-Dade
Shout
County.
out to the City of Miami staff.
Yes.
Our city manager.
Yes.
They are amazing, and I tell them that all the time, and I'm saying it here for posterity. The City of Miami staff, they are amazing.
Yeah, and the same thing in Miami-Dade County.
I
this
used to be
is-
a Miami-Dade County employee.
We are aware, or maybe they're not. So I don't know.
And I'm proud of it, and I think that also helps with my leadership because I know what it's like to have been an employee. And that's why I support them as much as I do.
And I think you have to treat everyone well, right?
You do.
Because you need to improve the morale. I want people to want to help me in my district. I want them to want to deliver. I know that it may be more than what people are used to hearing, but why not?
Right.
Right? Why not make the community that much better? Why not, add these extra garbage cans? Yeah, it's going to give us a bit more work, but it'll make the neighborhood much more beautiful.
We do have to challenge
Right?
Because
So-
one thing I can't stand is to hear, we've always done it that way. Oh gosh, if I hear that one more time.
I think, and that's it. So I think that the people who work for the municipalities, who work for the county government, these are largely people who are from the neighborhood.
That's true.
Who were given an opportunity to raise their families.
That is true.
Who they will retire with dignity and with pride. And what I hope from them is that when they retire, that they will be proud of the service they've given our neighborhoods, so that when they have an issue and they call in to say, hey, I want to get this problem solved, that the people who worked with them in the past say, no problem, we'll
Right.
do that.
And I think one of the biggest compliments for me is that when a city employee says, I voted for you.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest compliments. I want to thank you for being on my podcast, The Kingdom, where all voices are heard. And I look forward to continuing working with you, our relationship, and more importantly, our friendship. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap, you guys. Another episode of the Kingdom Podcast in the can.